Welcome to Better BMX. Today we're doing stem install. First you want to make sure your steer tube is free of any grease or lubricants from manufacturing. You want to lube all of your bolts with some regular grease. Just the threads, not the underside. If you grease the underside, the clamping force will become too strong. They may bend or break. Here I've already greased these clamp bolts, spun them in by finger part way. Next you want to get a spacer for your steer tube for your ride height preference. Slide on the stem. You want to make sure that the steer tube comes above the stem clamp area. If you have too many spacers, your stem will rise too high and your front end will fail. The steer tube may crush, or the stem may fail because there's not enough steer tube its entire length. You want the steer tube to come up just a little bit, or depending on your spacing it may rise. So in that case, use a spacer for the top. When you use your compression clamp to compress the headset together and the stem down onto the steer, the stem will go down, the steer tube will seem to rise up even higher. You want to make sure you have some gap here so the steer tube does not bottom out against your compression cap. If that bottoms out, the front end will not be tight enough. You'll always have some play and you'll break the front end. Here I've greased the threads of the cap, not the underside, just the threads. I'll spin that in. Now before you tighten this down, you want to raise your frame and the fork off of your workspace. You don't want this to be out of line as you tighten it down. So any force, if you sit on your bike while you're doing this, bad idea. It'll put things out of alignment and it won't tighten properly. So raise it up, tighten it, then grab the stem so it doesn't shift, and a little bit of compression there will bring everything together. After that, you want to tighten the clamp bolts one side at a time in small increments. If you tighten one too much before the other, the bolt might bend or snap off. A lot of force is carried in these bolts, so never use a lever. There's enough leverage here in the Allen key to get this taken care of right. Okay. Now you want to wipe clean the stem clamp area. Make sure there's no grease. Grease in there will make this front end slip. Place your bars in the clamp area, centered, and top tube of the bar resting on your frame. Grab your cap. Make sure you degrease that. And spin in these as much as you can. Okay. You can tighten a little bit here just so you have an easier time. Don't bottom these out. If you hear it or feel it, hit the top cap, back it off a few turns so you still have room to move your bars forward. There you go. Place the bars in the position you like them. Then begin to tighten these bolts down. A couple spins and you'll feel the cap and then stop. Don't tighten, just get that bolt to hit that cap. I'm going to tighten in a moment. And in a star pattern, diagonally across from each other. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then a little more force can be used on number 1 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you tighten the back side before the front side, the cap will slope backwards. Front side before the back, same thing, other direction. You won't have an even clamping force. Your bars will slip. one side and the other. Might compress one side of the bar, cause it to bend. There's a lot of force in here. You can crush these bars. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you want to step aside and look at the stem cap in relation to the bottom of the stem, if you're even front to back. So right now I'm looking at the stem this way, making sure that the front is not too far forward and the back is not too far forward. Since I used the diagonal pattern 1, 2, 3, 4, everything's even. Now you can do your final clamp down. Again, you start in the back, number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's it. It is tight. You don't need to use a lever on this wrench at all. There's plenty of force. Now the alignment might be off after you put your front tire on. And again, you want to back these out a little by little. Taking one out too much pressure, you'll never get this bottom one out. You'll have a really hard time. Little by little each side, just loose enough to straighten out your stem in alignment with your front wheel. And again, don't sit on the bike while you're doing this. Stand over would be fine. You already have your compression, so don't have to worry about that. For more information, go to betterbmx.blogspot.com.